Literally on the first date, if I see that a man is not doing the sidewalk roll, I'm like demoted. Demoted. I've shown him that I'm interested in him, but how have you shown him that you're interested in him? Just because you liked his Instagram story doesn't mean that you gave him sufficient evidence to ask you out. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Tamesia, and on this channel, we're kind of going through a rebrand. So previously I made fashion, lifestyle, and self-improvement videos. Now we are going through a rebrand, still sticking with the self-improvement kind of theme, but more so focusing on therapy, dating, and anything delusional, because we have a lot going on up here, and I know y'all do too, especially if you're from my TikTok fam. Like, y'all get me over there. So I'm super excited to use YouTube as the platform that we go in depth with these conversations on, and all the things that we're talking about on TikTok, we can actually dive deeper here, and people don't have to guess what I'm trying to say or like take what I'm saying the wrong way. Like, I can just be clear and straightforward, and you know what I mean, and you have the context to the things that I'm actually talking about. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Let me put myself together, put on my glasses. I hope you guys like this setup. I changed my living room around to have a therapy vibe, you know, like laying on the therapist's like couch, because we're really getting into it, like unpacking all the things that are going up in here so we can actually be better in our real lives, okay? I got the notebook. Without further ado, so the first thing that I want to do is give you guys some context to the video. If you haven't seen the video already, go back on my TikTok and watch the video that we're talking about. It's going to be linked in the description. So the first theory that we're going to talk about that really helps ground the TikTok video, and that helps ground understanding if you have high standards or if you don't have high standards, why that is understanding your attachment style. So there are 4 different types of attachment styles. There are different names for attachment styles depending on what books you read or who you ask. But generally, there's the secure attachment style, the anxious attachment style, the avoidant attachment style, and the fearful-avoidant attachment style. I have the fearful-avoidant attachment style. The bulk of this video is going to be about unpacking the fearful-avoidant attachment style, because that's what I'm most familiar with. That's my lived experience and what I know the most about. If you want me to do some deep dives into the other attachment styles, let me know and I can do that. I want to give you a brief description of the 4 different attachment styles so you can understand which one you might have, and if you're fearful avoidant, give you a little bit of insight into that before we dive deep. So if you have an anxious attachment style, you really cling onto your relationships and you want to be close to people. You really care about reassurance because you fear that people will abandon you. If you have an avoidant attachment style, that means you pretty much avoid building intimate relationships. You really rely on being independent, self-sufficient, and you don't really like relying on other people. I think there's an underlying feeling that people will always disappoint you, so you just choose to not even engage in building relationships. A secure attachment style means that you're really open to building relationships. You're not afraid of abandonment. Growing up, you probably saw, your parents have a really strong relationship. You move through the world in the most healthy way possible. You're not perfect, but you don't go into a relationship thinking that people are guilty and then you have to prove them innocent. You see people as innocent until proven guilty, basically. Fearful avoidant attachment style means that you have trust issues and you choose to maintain a safe distance away from people. You probably want to build these relationships, but you have trust issues. So you're like, let me just keep a safe distance. Like, I'll try, but like, I think people will abandon me, or I think that people are going to disappoint me, and like, I don't even actually want to give you a chance to try. So I'm gonna stay over here. The idea behind attachment styles is based on the type of relationship you had with your parents, the types of relationships that you just saw modeled for you. That's what your attachment style is really rooted in. So for fearful avoidant people, you grew up believing that you weren't really worthy of love. You did not see healthy parental relationships modeled for you. Like, you had some sort of distorted type of parenting. So maybe your parents were divorced, they were separated, your parents were never together, you had a single mom, single dad, like whatever the situation may be, it was not, the nuclear family model for you. And so that has impacted the way that you build relationships with other people. So for me, I didn't really see that with my parental relationships. So I'm entering adolescence and adulthood not really having emotionally available figures in my life and really seeing what emotional availability really looks like. Therefore, I'm moving through the world as someone who is emotionally unavailable. And some symptoms of moving through the world as someone who's emotionally unavailable or as someone who has a fearful avoidant attachment style means that you're unable to tolerate emotional intimacy in relationships, being frightened by memories of your childhood past. You tend to dissociate anytime you feel pain about something. You're unable to resolve your mindset or your emotions. You're triggered into anger or fear. And you're unable to regulate your emotions just like overall. Not everything may apply to you. One key thing that I want to focus on from these symptoms is that point of dissociating to avoid pain. So dissociation, very closely linked to delusion. Maladaptive daydreaming, always assuming the worst in people, projecting, jumping to conclusions, having trust issues, all these things are related. Okay, so now that we've gone through the attachment style, you have some context into the video is grounded in and where these standards are going to be based. So depending on your attachment style means that your standards start at a different level than people. People who have secure attachment styles, their standards probably start up here and they don't accept the bar being in hell when they're dating people. People who have a fearful-avoidant attachment style, they might start down here because they never thought that they were worthy of love. So like, why would they, receive princess treatment? They're not worthy of that, you know what I mean? So people start at different levels based on their attachment style, but just because you have a certain attachment style and you start somewhere does not mean that you can't work through your trauma and heal and actually move up. So these are just some general disclaimers that I want to get into before I start talking about what my standards are and what I think high standards are, figure out if your standards are too high, and all those kinds of things. So disclaimer number 1, there is nothing wrong with having high standards. I'm not here to tell anyone to settle or to compromise, to be with a certain person. No, that leads me into disclaimer number 2. You deserve the type of love that you want. And the type of love that you want exists and is out there because you exist. Now that leads me into point 3. Even though you deserve the type of love that you want, it's up to you if you'll accept that love. Some people, even though they want something, they don't internally believe that they're worthy of having it, so they accept something less. Now for me, I'm a Christian woman, so the way that I'm trying to approach my dating is through a Christian lens and Christian values. So that might not apply to you, and that's okay. You can listen to my perspective and my framework and choose to, pick and take what you want from it. If you're someone who's Christian and you want to apply these things to the way that you look at dating or to the way that you try and navigate through the world, feel free to. The part that you've all been waiting for, let's get into the standards. There are 3 types of standards. There are the bare minimum standards, there are the impossible standards, and there are the high standards. I'm going to start with bare minimum first. This is my personal list for the bare minimum standards. And this is a list of standards for when you're courting someone. When you're at that early stage of dating, you're still getting to know someone. These are the things that you can have a checklist on. Does this person check this box, check this box? If so, I want to continue to see them. If not, I think I want to pause this relationship or halt it completely. So here's the list. They're communicative, they're responsive, they keep their word, they're prompt/on time, there's a mutual respect, and there's mutual attraction between us. We have trust, they care about my passions and interests, they believe in God, they have a career that they're working towards and building, / they're ambitious. Being ambitious does not have to be related to your career. I love people who have things that they do on the side. They're a leader and they're kind, not just nice. Now I know in the comments, some people were like, I have the bare minimum standards. I know people who have no standards, like the standards are in hell, etc., etc., etc. I understand. You just accept whatever love is kind of given to you. And you're probably used to settling for love and compromising in areas because you have this innate belief that you're not worthy of love. So you just take whatever you can get. I'm here to tell you, stop doing that. Take this list of bare minimum standards and apply it to your life. I know sometimes when the delusions start talking, people don't even have to have everything on the bare minimum list before you start thinking like, oh my God, I really like them. No. When I'm giving you this advice, I'm giving this advice to myself, okay? Like I'm not a coach. I'm not a big sis know-it-all, okay? I am in the middle of my own mess with you. I'm just telling you what I've been working through and what I see and giving you things that I understand in hindsight. That's all. So for me moving forward, the people that I'm dating, they need to meet the bare minimum requirements on this list. And if they don't meet the bare minimum requirements, I need to be so fucking for real with myself and not accept the crumbs that they give me and start getting delusional and projecting that they have other things on the list when they really don't. Like, I need to look at the list and be like, do they check each of these boxes? If no, then I don't need to mess with them, and leave it at that. Okay, so now it's time to get into what my therapist calls like the impossible standards and what people in the video were really confused about. So this is not necessarily based in reality, which is the problem. It's delusional thinking that you apply to real life based on your fearful avoidant attachment style. Remember that key about dissociating to avoid pain and all those things? I am someone who has subscribed to like the Disneyfication of love as a child, right? And as an adolescent. And now in my adult years, I'm trying to actively work against the Shondification of romance. What does that mean? So Disney as a corporation has pumped into its movies this fantasy of like, you know, the prince coming to save you. They move heaven and earth to, you know, be with this woman. They go through the impossible and like da-da-da-da. Like, it's this very fantastical way of falling in love that is not representative of reality. Shonda Rhimes is Disney for adults. You have these male leads who are built up to be like this perfect man, but you also see that he has flaws, right? But he is still the perfect man that you can't help but fall in love with. Think Meredith Grey, pick me, choose me, love me. Think King George, right? Pouring his heart out to Queen Charlotte. I love you. From the moment you were trying to go over the wall. Like, it's just like so over the top, so fantastical. Think Olivia Pope and Fitz and Scandal. This man is the president of the United States. I haven't seen Scandal yet, but they have this like whirlwind, forbidden romance, probably like enemies to lovers. Like, it's just so dramatic. And so you're like going into reality with these preconceived notions of what love should be or what it should feel like. It should have this spark, this fire, this da-da-da-da. Like, if he's not moving heaven and earth for me, I don't want him. And it's just like, girl, chill out. Like, the hinge date that you're trying to give a chance to could not be Fitz. Like, he simply can't be Fitz. Like, he's going to fail. So that's one type of delusional standard that I hold men to. The second is an ideological flaw. So you tell yourself a story about who they are and you fall in love with the idea of them, but that's not really who they are in real life. If you've seen my other video where my therapist said I'm in an imaginationship, that's what I'm talking about. The person, they physically exist, and while I have had communication with this person, I haven't had enough communication with this person to really know who they are. I haven't gone on dates with this person to really understand their character and what they value and their mindset. And now I'm starting to project all these amazing qualities onto this person that I thought of and gave to them. I have no evidence that they are the person I say that they are. The last delusional standard is, again, an ideological thinking flaw. If he wanted to, he would. Now, I know you're gonna jump me, but hear me out. If he wanted to, he would. It's semi-valid because a man will when he believes the woman is worthy too. If he thinks that you are worthy of X, Y, and Z, he'll go out and do it for you. If he doesn't think that you're worthy of X, Y, and Z, he's not gonna do it for you. If he really thinks that you're a great person to be in a relationship with and to build a life with, he could see you as his partner, he will text you back. Because he wants you to know that he's serious about you. If he just sees you as like a situationship, a little boo thing, a little booty call, he's not going to care about texting you back and will wait 36 hours before he hits you back. Like, if he wanted to, he literally would. So yes, but no. So this is the no part. It's a no that you can't use this way of thinking as a blanket statement for everything, because sometimes he would want to, but he lacks the evidence that would motivate him to do so. What does that exactly mean? That means, let's just say you're taking two people They're probably both interested in one another, right? Maybe you have a class with this person or you work with this person, whatever. You've seen them around, had a few conversations, maybe small talk, whatever. You want them to ask you out. You're like, I'm interested in him. I've shown him that I'm interested in him. But how have you shown him that you're interested in him? Just because you liked his Instagram story doesn't mean that you gave him sufficient evidence to ask you out. Just because you saw him at a party last weekend and you see him today and like you gave him the eyes, you gave him the eyes, that doesn't mean that he has sufficient evidence to go and ask you out. Men are also afraid of rejection just as much as women. I think this also is related to making assumptions that the person that you're interested in is a mind reader, right? Well, he should know that da-da-da-da-da-da. How would anyone know that if you didn't communicate it to them? Especially if you guys don't actually know each other. You know what I mean? I'm not the type of person that would do this, or I'm not the type of girl you can just take da-da-da-da-da. They probably don't know that about you because they really haven't communicated with you. You can't really assume certain things about people unless they have sufficient evidence to actually understand that about you. And again, these things you have to take on a case-by-case basis. It's not a blanket statement, because I'm not telling you to not use critical thinking skills. I'm not saying that. Don't let a man play in your face. But you have to really have evidence and discernment to know if he did something or said something because he truly doesn't know you that well, so he didn't know it would offend you, or if he did know you that well, then he's actually playing in your face by doing something disrespectful or by doing something lowbrow. So again, take it on a case-by-case basis. Don't let anyone play in your face, though. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for, okay? What are the high standards I was talking about? What are the high standards that women could have? Here they are. These are my standards, okay? Some of you might be like, some of these things on the list are a bare minimum for me. And okay, they can be bare minimum for you. Or you're like, I would never ask that of someone. Okay, you would never ask that of someone. So when a guy meets my bare minimum standards, he's considered in the good area, right? He's someone I'd see again. He's alright. Like, I really, would want to get to know him more. But he's not great. He's not exceptional. Like, I'm not going around to my friend yelling, my man, my man, my man. He needs to show me a little bit more. So this is a list of things that men can do in the courting stage or early dating stage, whatever you want to call it, that will move them from the good category to the great category and will really stand out and be exceptional. He plans nice dates. And nice is relative. It's subjective. For me, we're going to an actual restaurant. We're doing an actual activity. Like, I'm not going to a fast food restaurant with you. I'm not coming over to your house to Netflix and chill. Just show me that you put effort into actually hanging out with me. You pay for the dates. For those of you who know Sheer 7, sprinkle, sprinkle, he picks you up or he sends an Uber to pick you up. He opens doors for you. Car doors, doors of any establishment or facility, I'm not touching a handle. Chivalry is not dead, okay? He knows the sidewalk rule. If you don't know the sidewalk rule, you better go and learn it fast. Literally on the first date, if I see that a man is not doing the sidewalk rule, I'm like demoted. Demoted. The next standard is that you're a priority to him, especially if you're not in the same zip code as him. What does that mean exactly? For me, a man's priority should be God, his work and his business, and then me. If he's serious about being in a relationship. I am not trying to be your number one priority. I'm like, your relationship with God should be your number one priority. And at a certain point in time, your business and your career will not be your main focus because you will eventually be so established in whatever you want to do. Like, you can take a back seat to it. But while we're both in our 20s, like, I want you on your grind. Like, because I'm on my grind, so I want you on your grind. And then it's me because we're building a relationship together. You know what I mean? And the zip code aspect of it. They're on vacation or they're traveling for work or they're going to see their family in a different state. Do they still keep up communication with you? Or do they just act like you don't exist? Or do they just hit you up when you're in the same zip code so you can like hang out with each other and just pass time? You're not really like, oh my God, I care about investing in this relationship even if I'm not with you. So that's what I mean by that. Next standard, he invests in or supports your interests or passions. This is different than the bare minimum of just caring about your interest and passion. If a man is actually investing in your business or investing in your vision, goes to your art shows and supports you, if you're receiving an award, he's taking pictures of you and like he's just so proud, that's different than just being like, oh, it's cool that you like to do art. Like, that's awesome. He actually really taking an interest in it. Does he want to learn? Maybe he's actually financially supporting you. You know what I mean? Like that 21 Savage song. Do you want a boutique or do you want to sell hair? Just let me know what you into. And that sprinkle sprinkle. We love that. The next standard is he pays your bills. Now this is very sprinkle sprinkle. This is a standard that a lot of women have, especially women who don't want to do 50-50. Someone who's in her 20s dating other people who are in their 20s. I'm not expecting anyone to pay my bills. We're both on our grind trying to like become financially secure. So I would say this is more for older women, like in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. The men that you're dating are probably able to pay your bills. For people in your 20s who are also dating other people in their 20s, I'm looking for someone who's generous with their money. This does not necessarily mean that they're rich, because a man can be rich but not generous. He will not spend his money on you just because he has it. He doesn't see you as an investment, or he doesn't really care to spend money on a woman. So I'm looking for someone who's generous. And this is not like, you know, I'm looking for a trick who's going to take me to Saks and like buy me $2,000, you know, bags and shoes. Although that's nice, and although I will accept that, that's not what I mean. I mean someone who doesn't mind paying for a round of drinks for everybody, or will cover dinner for a friend, or if a friend is like, oh, like I want to go out but I don't got it, they're like, I didn't say did you have it, I said do you want to come? You know what I mean? Someone who's generous like that, because that shows character. It doesn't matter how much you have in your bank account. If you care about the people that you're around and you want to see them happy, and you know that you can financially support them or make it happen for them, whatever that means, that's what I'm looking for. Not someone who's stingy, not someone who's cheap. Next standard is someone who has a relationship with God. This is different than someone who just believes in God, because someone can believe in God and then act very, very different than the Christian values. I'm looking for someone who has a relationship with God. That means that living Christ-like is important to them. They attend church, you know, semi-frequently. If you've seen Jewish matchmaking, I'm taking Aliza's term flexidox, like flexible, like orthodox for Jewish folks, and kind of applying it to Christianity. I see myself as like a flexidox Christian. You have to decide what being flexidox means for you, but I'm looking for someone who's flexidox like me. The next standard is that he makes the necessary sacrifices for the relationship. And I'm not telling you to compromise in the sense that you need to like come down to someone's level because they can't reach you up here. I'm saying necessary sacrifices. For example, this is not necessarily at the courting stage, like very beginning. This is more so like you're really thinking about being serious with this person, like maybe you want to be official, like you're really starting to get serious about dating, or you're already in a relationship. This person will, you know, go to sleep a little later so they can talk to you on the phone because you both have been working all day. Or the person lives 30 minutes away to like an hour away from you. So it's not technically a long distance relationship, but it's not a super convenient, like geographically close relationship. But they sacrifice time out of their day or their week to come and see you 1 to 2 times a week, and vice versa. You sacrifice time out of your day or your week to go and see them 1 to 2 times a week. The next standard is that they love you in your love languages. What this means is like if you're somebody who words of affirmation is really important to you, and you're like, I want someone to tell me that I'm beautiful and that I'm smart and that, you know, they are proud of me and blah, blah, blah. If the person that you're dating is not willing to compliment you, verbally congratulate you and affirm you and like boost you up and hype you up, then they're not loving you in your love language. You taking the extra step to love someone in the way that they want to be loved, in a way that validates them, in a way that makes them feel seen and valued and understood, is more important than you just doing whatever you want to do and like they should be happy they got something. God forbid. Like, no. And the last standard is that the person is an active participant in the relationship. Great relationships don't just happen. They take effort and they take work. They take people going the extra mile. They take people making necessary sacrifices. They take time and energy and dedication. If the person that you're dating is not willing to be an active participant in the relationship, they're not meeting any exceptional standard. if they're not an active participant in the relationship, it's really giving like situationship. Like, it's cool when I see you every now and again, but like, I'm not going the extra mile for you. So, sorry. No, that's not cutting it around here. So that's my current list of bare minimum standards, the delusional thinking standards that I'm actively working against, and the actual high standards that I look for when being courted or dating. I hope this clarified the video, and I hope this gave you some clarity in your own dating and ways that you can create new standards for yourself, create new frameworks and perspectives for how you think about dating, for how you think about your internal self-work, the trauma that you need to become aware of to unpack, and all that good stuff when it comes to self-improvement. So I'm super excited to continue making these explanatory videos about the topics that we discuss on TikTok. I think that'll be super exciting. So anytime you have questions or comments, please leave it on the TikTok, and I'll do my best to address it in these YouTube videos. If you have specific questions for me, maybe I can like have a place where you do like a what would Tamesia do? If you're interested in that, drop a comment and I can create like a Google form to like anonymously collect your current situations that you want advice on. And I would love to do that for you. It would mean the world to me if you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. It helps the algorithm push this video to people who need to hear this message, who are trying to work on themselves. I just want a community to know that they're not going through this alone. So thank you so much for watching this video. And that is the end of this semi-therapy deep dive. I will see you on the next one. Bye.